All right, let me just go back since I wasn't recording. So what we decided to do is we decided to stop right here at step 6. We're not going to fill out our controllers. Instead, we're going to our front end and we're going to do this. This is a pretty, let's actually break this up into, I'm going to say this is kind of two steps. It's kind of like our React router stuff, navigation, and creating stub out React components. Okay. So in our index.js, we wrapped our app with the browser router component. Now we're going to create some pages. So I did a pages folder, and then I'm going to do a home.js. So React from React const home. H1 export default. Then I can just copy this because I'm going to want to do a bugs page. Just paste that there. Open you to do that JS. And then I want to do a new file. I'm just going to decide to do this as a bug form. I'm going to need a new file bug show. I could maybe even plan ahead and be like, I probably want like a bug component because I'm going to render these. Like that could be a component. And then maybe a vaccine component and a vaccine form. They're maybe not their own pages, but I could create those components. Maybe I throw those in a new folder called components. So I could have like a bug.js. This is, once again, this is kind of like it's maybe going a little out of the scope of what I was initially set out to do, but I help down the road. Vaccine to show like one vaccine. It's not like a page. It's just going to be a kind of like a UI thing to help me with this. And then a new file, vaccine form. I'm going through all like this copy and pasting stuff. Okay. You kind of see the difference, like, and this is just, like I said, with React, I'm kind of just made the split second decision. I'm going to have a components folder that's holding components. The pages is slightly different because I'm thinking like pages are going to be like a React, like specifically for React routers. Like I have a home page. I have a bugs page. I have my bug form page. I have a bug show page. But then I have like a bug component, a vaccine component, and a vaccine form component that live within a page. It's just how I kind of decided to organize it. Because in my bug show, I probably want my vaccine form component in here. And sure, I guess that's fine. Like I said, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just going to leave it like this. Okay, so now that I have these components created, now I need to go in and set up the routes for this. So I can do this in, well, I can first go into my app.js, and I kind of need to now do the React router stuff. Honestly, I don't remember the React router stuff. So this is React router DOM 6. This is where in your documentation or in your notes, you go through and you can have, you can create the cheat sheet, and you can maybe even use this as a reference to then go in and, fill out instructions here.
Are we getting graded on the styling too, or is it more so functionality?
It is going to be mainly, you might get a couple points styling. It's mainly going to be functionality. So what I would do is especially as you're going through your homework today, and you're trying to get this set up, go through and with React route, this is kind of a time for you to review these kind of steps, especially with something like React router, because we do this every now and then, but right now you're kind of want to go in and explain what you're actually doing to yourself. It's a time for you, like I said, to create that cheat sheet so you describe it in your own words. I'm not going to give you a cheat sheet with all the instructions. This is kind of the outline for your cheat sheet, but if any parts of these are confusing to you, you need to go in and, add notes.
Actually, I have another question about the hackathon.
Yeah.
Is all of everybody's project due at the same time, or is it a race to see who finishes first? If we have extra time, can we do styling?
Yeah. So it's the cutoff time is going to be 4:45. So you all work up until that time. And
Okay.
we'll give you a loose rubric of how we're going to grade. It is the thing you're going to want to focus on is getting your CRUD actions done on all your models. That's going to be that's where the majority of the points comes from. Then there's going to be a little on styling and the about page or the bonus model. So
Okay.
So what I'm doing now, I know, so I'm going to grab this browser router. I also need to grab this routes component because I need to wrap all of those in routes. And now I can start wrapping this. So instead of just trying to make this all complicated right now, what I can do is let's just maybe get my home page working. Because it's been a while since we've done React router. So what I do here is I'm going to have this app component. Now I'm going to nest components inside of it. So let's make sure, first of all, we import our app, which we do, and import our home. And this has a path / and this is index. So let's just see what this does now. If I go to, I have my Rails or my React running. Go inspect. I don't really see anything in here. Now, so I'm doing these small tests. I'm not seeing anything because remember in my app.js, does anyone remember what I need inside of here? Like if I'm nesting inside of my app, this home component. Like how do I in my app.js say, hey, render that component?
Don't you just do like home? Like like that.
Well, I don't want to necessarily do home because, okay, so here's what my app's going to look like. Let's just first, so we can see it. Like eventually I'm going to have my nav bar. Right, so I should see my nav bar. But then depending on what, like if it's home, then I'd want to see my home. But if it's also like
You need your link.
the form, I need the component, like I want to like show right now, I want to like have this show home. What
So
I
you
need,
need the link to the pathway, right?
what I really need is I need the outlet. Because I should be seeing home right now. Right, I'm at localhost 3000. I should be seeing home.
And that's because it's labeled the index.
Yeah, and the index is going to say, okay, if there's not a path, let's just do the home. So there we go. So that outlet, so now I can have this shared nav bar, but then the outlet's going to be whatever is the path is matching. So now I can do another path with, my bugs. Path equals bugs. Go back to my React app. Bugs is not defined. I need to import that. So I'm still home, but now if I go to localhost 3000 bugs, now that takes me to my bugs page. If I want to show one bug, that should probably be the path like bugs ID. So that would be my bug show page. So now if I go to like bugs/1, bug show. What other one did I want? If I want like the new, bugs new.
That would be bug form.
Yeah, that would be my bug form.
And then you need to edit as well, if you wanted to do it that way.
Yeah, which I do. I'm gonna want two of these and then edit. But they're both going to render the bug form, but I'm going to want to handle both of these. Okay, so refresh bugs 1. That's my bug show. So if I go to bugs new, that's my bug form. If I go to bugs 1 / edit, that's my bug form. Something I might want to do just while maybe for these pages that have the ID, I want to just make sure I have it working so I can show the ID. So what I could do is like in my bug form, I'm going to do this. I'm going to import use params from React Router DOM. Params equals use params. This might be like maybe a little more in depth, or like not in depth, but maybe a little outside the scope of this specific thing I'm trying to do. But I think it's useful like to make sure that when I go to these paths, the ones I need the ID, I can grab it. let's actually do this as this. Do I have params ID? Because with the way I'm setting this up, especially like this form, since I decided to have this handle both, I could do something like this. Like if I have a ID, this is going to be edit. If I don't have an ID, this will say new. And likewise with my bug show, just say the ID.
You have to import that as well on that page too, right? There you go.
Yep, that is not imported, so we'll import that. So yeah, now I'm checking this out. Like if I go in and change my route, there's 2, there's 3. So that's going to my edit bug form. I go to new. That says no, new bug because I give it no ID. But if I go to bugs like 1, that takes me to my show. Go to bugs. Yeah, and if I did want about.js, easy to get these set up about the new file. Like even if it was the bonus, maybe it's easy enough just to set this up. Hospital. I don't know if that's how you spell hospital, but just have to do. Because I don't know, it kind of takes it's really quick cost.
I'm not sure if that's how you spell hospital.
It's not.
HOS.
OSCPITAL.
There you go.
Okay. Because right, it's kind of like once you kind of do get in the flow, like these are of doing one task, it can become repetitive and easy. It's like once you figure out how to do it once, it's like, okay, this is pretty straightforward. So I have that. Something that might be nice to do as a group would be the Nav Bar. So link to / go home. So we have bugs.
Do you want to wrap this all in a nav tag?
Good.
You don't have to though.
No. Probably would be the semantically correct thing to do.
In a what tag? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
You're saying do this in a nav tag.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm picky in particular like that.
Technically that should be, it really doesn't, it's more readable as they would say. Bugs, what else do I have? I have about. I kind of think hospitals, maybe that's about it as far as my nav. I don't really, if I look at the UI, I mean, that doesn't really show it, but yeah, I think I just need those links. The other ones will be generated elsewhere. I think I forgot to import the link. And then just React app, home bugs about hospital. That one didn't work.
Because you accidentally pluralized it in the link name.
Okay. Is that it? I guess I don't need that little space there. So hospital. Okay, home bugs about hospital. Sweet. So that is now done. Like that's my navigation in React. So this would be a good time to do a git add, git commit -m. Router setup for routes. Forgot to commit. All right. So going back to kind of this rough. So once again, this is kind of all done together. I would say there's maybe one thing. This is not needed, but data provider. So I'll just leave a note. You don't have to use, a provider. Kind of, because you know how, so on Monday, we were using our data provider to kind of keep track of our state, right? And we're doing all the methods there. And then we're using the use context hook to pass the state down, or sorry, use context hook so we could grab it anywhere and then pass the methods down. Or we just kept track of our state like in the component. So since we're grading you on functionality, not really your code, like how you choose to do this is kind of up to you. But if you are going to, and you can do both, you could use a combination of the two. Is that very confusing when I say you can or you can't use a data provider, like, or you can just keep track of the state in your component?
I mean, a data provider would be nice though, because then you can reuse some of your stuff if you need to, right?
Yeah, it might not.
We've done it both ways though. I think we've made a couple
Yeah.
without a data provider.
Yeah, you don't have to use it. I'd say this, maybe one of the
To me, it's confusing, so I would have to have a serious conversation with everybody else about whether or not to use it.
I feel like generally it would be a good practice though. Or maybe not, I don't know.
I'm trying to think if I would recommend it or not. Let's just set one up, because there's a couple things. First of all, maybe a good way to do it is you have multiple providers. you would have like a hospital provider that was responsible for doing all the hospital stuff. And then you had like a bug provider, which was responsible for doing all the bug stuff. Technically, I would say you don't really need it because you're not really sharing data across components. It might help in some of your functions, like passing the data to the form, but I think for this demo, I'm not going to use it. Because if it were me, I'd be like, we don't need to use it. And so as we go through this project, yeah, we won't use one. And you can use it if you want. I think it's actually, and one of the reasons I'm choosing not to is I think it might help split up the work. So so everyone doesn't have to, I think if we use a data provider, you might end up everyone might be trying to do a lot of stuff in that one file. So, but you can, there's nothing, if you think it's easier, you can do it. All right, so I would say at this point, as far as like as a group, I think we're pretty good. I think this is really maybe, and you can do the whole hackathon. You can just keep going as a group, and doing this all together. But I kind of think this would be a good spot, where we really have got some of this like core setup done, and then we can really start to break up tasks. Do you kind of see that? Like we have all our like pages stubbed out, like our controller stubbed out. There's not much logic going on there, but it's pretty easy to be like, hey, can someone go build the bug form? Can someone go do the bugs controller or treatments controller? Stuff like that. So let me do this. Let's go ahead and add, I did push this. Except what's like kind of the one downside of not maybe doing our controllers together?
Some things might be different.
It might be different. Yeah, it's if I start doing React stuff, like my back end's not going to be working.
Yeah, some people would have them and some people wouldn't.
Yeah, so that might be like a little confused. Like, so it might just be, you don't really, yeah, I'm going to say you don't need the back end to be working to do like 95% of the front end, but it's a little more tricky. So I think there's going to be a big benefit if before you really start working on your front end, if your controllers were done and tested. And right, how long is it actually going to take to do our controllers? Maybe you just do one of them. Right? What is the index method going to do for my, I'm in my bugs?
You're just gonna, it'd just be a render JSON, bugs.all or bug.all.
If you have 3 people, working on this together, you should be able to do this in like 5 minutes. What's this one going to be?
Find.
Yeah, find. and then params ID, but remember this, let's just put this in a before action. Set bug. So what methods do I want to set my bug on?
Create, update, and destroy.
Did you say create?
No, not it's show.
No, not create.
Show
Show, update, show, and destroy.
and destroy. Yeah. Oh. So now I can just render JSON at bug. I need to go and define this method. Set bug and at bug equals bug dot find params ID. The other private method I need my bug. I need my sanitizer. We'll call it bug params. What is this going to be? Params dot require what?
Require bug.
Bug.
And then it's name.
Name and type.
What did I?
Bug.
Oh,
Bug
no,
type.
bug type.
It was bug underscore type. Okay, so we have my index, we have my show. I could have my def create. Bug equals bug dot.
Shouldn't it
Params.
be new?
Yes, it should. Thank you. If bug dot save, else append under JSON
Some bug.
bug render JSON
Error.
error bug dot errors dot full messages. Right. Def update. Bug dot update. Bug params, and this one's going to be our instance variable. And that's going to be at bug. That's going to be at bug. I don't have a full-
And you want to delete that first line, right?
I don't need that. Okay, so there's my create, my update. I feel like I might have an extra end in here. Okay, let's do my destroy. Bug dot destroy. Right, pretty repetitive. So now I should go test these. So let's go to Postman. Localhost API bugs. Oh, that's a delete. So let's make that a get. Have a syntax error. Don't need that right there. Except why is that calling that on my index method? Oh, this is a syntax. Okay. So there's my bugs. I could go to bug/1, or I guess it's 5. bug/5. There's the one bug. I could do a put body bug name. Change the name. I could do a post. There's that. And then I could delete a bug. That works. Oh yeah, I need to do a show. Oh, because I can't find it because I deleted it. Cool. Those are working. And like I said, I think if you do this as a group, you can do this quick. So Rails is easy, right? You understand how this works.
I got it.
Yes,
Okay.
there's
Yeah, the Rails part isn't hard.
Okay, let's actually see how well you understand Rails. Okay. I want to do and I'll define the route for us. I want to do a GET request to bug ID, and then this is called bugs all ID. And this is going to go to my bugs controller. Two bugs. And to bugs all method. Let's call this, actually, let's call this bugs detailed. Actually, bugs all is fine, whatever, the name really doesn't matter. Okay, so I want this to return, if someone does this, I want to get back an object that has the key bug, which would be all the bug data. It also has another key treatment that has the bugs treatments. And that would, probably be, this would be in an array because that'd be the array of the treatments. And then this bug data, that would be probably an object. So it's kind of like the show. I'm getting the show. Here's my bug data. But I want this, I want to key a bug. That would be this, but then also a vaccines key or treatments. That would be the treatments. So how would I make this work? So I should be able to go to bugs all and then give it the ID and then make this work. So what's the first thing I need to do to fix this error?
Go to your controller and define
you
your
need to
bugs
set
all
the
method.
method.
Cool.
define the
Yeah, so
method.
I need to go define this method called bugs all. So let's just, so there we go. There's a 204, no content, but at least it's defined. So that's working. Okay.
You could try an at bug or find at bug.
Okay, let's render
Or
JSON. What do I need to do if I'm doing this? Let's just run it. We can just break it. That's null. What would I need to do for this to work?
You do it by ID, right?
Yeah, by an ID.
Or like I want at bug to be defined in this method. I could, find it by params ID, or I could add this method right here.
Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
So call this method before. So now out bugs defined. Cool. So we're getting closer. So there's my bug. So now it's doing the same thing as show, which is good. We're getting there. But if I go back, I want this to come back with the key bug and then the value bug, and then a treatments array. First of all, how would I change this so it come back instead of just this array, this object right here, it'd have a key bug and then it would be this object.
You wrap it in brackets
I could wrap that in but
and
brackets.
then give it a, yeah, like that.
Cool. So there's my bug.
And then you'd have to give it a second. You'd have to put a comma and give this treatments.
Yeah. So let's just do that as an empty array right now. Sweet. So there's my bug. There's my treatments.
This would be app bug.
Do app bug dot find dot all, or just dot all.
App bug dot treatments dot all.
Dot treatments. Yeah.
It's actually just treatments. So that's a nice little Rails helper. So I can, since we have the associate, since a bug has many treatments, this is actually going to work.
Now that'll load every treatment for that specific bug ID.
What?
That will
We
load
have to
every
find
treatment
that.
under the specific bug ID.
Yeah. So there we go. There's my bug that has ID 6. Notice how all the treatments have the bug ID 6. And there we go. So good job. So here we just created like a little custom route, you know, to render both the bug information and the treatments.
Sweet.
Cool. So there is that. I would say this is a good time to, I don't know why I always stop at 110. I think it's because it's like, we just have to stop. So let's stop here. Any questions on like this? I would say more just on kind of this set of instructions of like, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think it's a lot of setup, right? We haven't even really got into much of the code.
James, is it possible to ever have it to where it's all set up and you just name certain things? Or do you always have to build it out? You know what I mean?
Like having boilerplate code.
Yeah, like if all this was set up and you had the ability just to change the names of the, you know, controllers and models and stuff, and then start doing the specifics.
Like a
There's some stuff in Rails you can do that like will like create your controllers for you, but yeah, the other option is like this start, you create a little starter template that you can clone down. But yeah, it's at some point it's like if you want this starter code, it's going to just, you know, limit you to, I don't know, it's a trade-off.
Okay, I was just asking.
Yeah, there's like a command in Rails that will like generate all your, it will look a little different, but it's kind of essentially does this for you. I don't know, but yeah, it's not apps that just do CRUD, or, you know, there's probably going to be more stuff you're going to want to add. And then React is front end's definitely a lot harder, but to generalize stuff. I don't know, they're trying to do it with AI, so let's see. Cool. Let's go ahead. Hop off. I think when we get back from lunch, we'll do maybe a little GitHub demo, because we still haven't even scratched that really. Because now we are getting to the point where we want to push this up to GitHub and have everyone pull and work. So we'll go over that step as we get back.
What time do you want us back?
Let's do 2:15.
All right.
Cool.
Sounds good.
All right. See ya.